we teach, which is when you're booking a slam day to always schedule in every few hours, at least a 10 to 15 minute break so you clear your mind.
Absolutely. Write this down, everybody. Try the Pomodoro method. Pomodoro. You don't have to spell it right. You just have to say it right. Pomodoro method. Something that I do is 25 minutes on, 5 minutes off, 25 minutes on, 5 minutes off. Or just the idea of doing certain period on, certain period off. So for myself, it's more like an hour on, an hour off, an hour on, an hour off, an hour on, an hour off. Okay, and that off period can just be 5 minutes where you do a non-sleep deep rest. Write that down, non-sleep deep rest. You can write NSDR. Okay, so it's the Pomodoro method, which is again 25 minutes on, 5 minutes off, 25 minutes on, 5 minutes off, which ends up being an hour. And then we have NSDR. All right, this is non-sleep deep rest. That is meditation. That is just literally lying down on the floor and doing nothing for 5 minutes. Anything that's going to relax your brain, relax your body for a bit so you can get back to it. Okay, non-sleep deep rest. So what do we get
If you're
into
above
today,
if you're
Andrew?
above 50 though, you can lay down on the couch or a chair.
Right.
Oh, this is good. So I'm excited for you guys. I want to do something a little different. I want you to type in the chat, where are you from? Where are you from? I want to see what kind of areas we got on here all across the country today. And I want to, while you're typing that, remind you this is day 34. We have been shifting the tide slightly over the last 4 days as we've crossed the halfway point, while it's just going to keep getting better and the information is still going to be incredible. We are shifting more to the side of still building a foundation on selling properties. We're shifting, though, more to the side of selling properties and exit strategies. So you're going to hear us kind of come back and touch on buying the properties. Many of you have encountered the replays of how to buy houses and finding them. But as we shift more into the selling properties, we're going to continue. It's the same frame. It's the same thing, except now we're exiting. So now we're getting the freaking money, baby. All right, we got Kentucky, Virginia, North Carolina, Minnesota, Missouri, Ohio, Florida, Kentucky. We have Arkansas, Arizona, New York, Kentucky, Colorado, San Diego. I love San Diego. Leo and I was just there, actually. California, California and Vegas. I like that. Looneyville. I don't know where Looneyville is. California, North Carolina, Texas, Vegas, Florida. This is awesome. We got you coming in from all over. I'm glad you're here on day 34. So we're going to delve in. We have a jam-packed, exciting, and special day for all of you. And something I want to mention for you that I so appreciate is when we set out to do this, we always do something for, and those of you who are working or doing other things and still hopping on and listening in, I commend you. So this is not a beating for anybody who's not able to, but I always look every day, and there are so many of you who have your cameras on. We see your smiling faces. We see you in your beautiful places. We get to gauge how much you're loving this. And as you engage and smile, and you get more out of it, and we get to give more into it because we feed off of your energy. That's why we love live events. That's why we're excited to hang out with you for 3 days next month. Except we get a little bit of that vibe here because we're seeing your beautiful smiling faces. So let's delve right in. And first off, I want to start off with a little bit around the tenacity that each of you are building. The tenacity, the reps that you're putting in here just by just showing up and just following the actionables. And that's why I've made such a big deal about that, because that is what sets this community, which is each of you, us, apart from anybody else, anywhere else, is the fact that we come together and we actually do what we say and say what we're going to do. And that's what we expect as we hold accountability. And that's why you see us following up. Hey, did you make the calls? Hey, did you do what you said you was going to do? Hey, did you negotiate the deal? Hey, did you follow up? And so as you see us continuing to operate in that, you're going to notice that that's just the foundation of our culture. Does everything go as planned? No. But the same tenacity it took to follow up with the seller to get the contract, the same tenacity it takes to work the contract across the finish line when it's not working out like we anticipated, is the same tenacity it takes to find the buyer and then to turn around and turn this thing to a profit in the end. So, Leo, you want to speak a little more to that before I jump in to today's agenda items?
Absolutely. Before we get into it and really dive in, what are we? We are just about 33 or 32 days in.
34.
34 days in. 34 days in. And take a moment and recognize the initial idea that you had when you first came into this. It could be, okay, I have 60 days to get my butt into shape and to get some of these deals. It could be that I have a couple deals ready to go. I just need help pulling them across the board. It could be that I've been in a funk and I need to get out of that funk. Or it could be, hey, I'm ready to retire. I'm ready to retire. I'm ready to stop bustling and hustling in stress mode. Instead, I want to work still and add value to people and make a difference. And also have the financial freedom that I want to have. Or lastly, is it that I want to be around a community of people who actually believe in themselves, first of all, but also believe in me? So recognize what that is. And when you can understand that, you can come at this mindset and say, okay, that's what I want. This is exactly what I want. I want to have that community. I write that down. I write down exactly what it is that I want. Because guess what? Let's say you had the intention for what you're wanting to get out of today, and you join this Zoom and you're with 99 other people, other investors who are in the same strategy and same space as you. And you say, I want to build a community. I want to have community around me. And you're just working in the chat now, right? The chat is important because you have 100 people that can see your chat. And instead of just being here and enjoying the process and taking notes, you're actually networking and connecting with the people. And after this Zoom, you're actually calling one or two of them. And hey, this person's actually really good at acquisitions, and I'm really good at dispo. Maybe we can partner together and do something. But that all came with the intention of actually saying, I want to build my community. I want to be around new people. I want to get some of this energy and really utilize it. Because that's what it is. We're bringing 100 people here every single day for what? To give you all of those benefits there. That's what me and Andrew do. We just give benefits. But it's up to you to actually have the intention of what is it that you want. Because you probably can't take all 96 benefits that we're giving you all at once and all the goodness, but you're going to have to choose the goodies that you want. I want the community. I want the mentorship. I want the lessons. I want to get better on the phones so that after this call, you say, okay, let's use that script that Andrew and Leo gave me and let me practice that 10 times tonight. So that if Leo or Andrew ever call me on this Zoom and we do a role play, we've been doing a lot of role plays recently, Andrew, we should do one maybe today or maybe tomorrow. We should do a role play. Then if we call on you, you're ready to go. You're ready to do a role play. Okay. So that's my message for you is have the intention for everything that you want. But today, what is your intention? Because if you set the intention, I want a business partner, I want another deal, you'll get that deal. It will come a lot sooner to you.
Absolutely. And something I think is so important. And as we're making this shift, as I'm getting ready to get in to the brain hurting stuff, we're going to be going over here later this week, step by step, filling out the contract. Leo, I know you're giddy about that one. And we're going to be going through to the step by step structuring the sale of the deal. We're going to be going through all of these things, but this is such an important foundational piece right here as we shift to this last half of our 60 days together. Kind of feels sad to say that, doesn't it? But good thing is, not for all of you. Many of you are coming to hang out with us for 3 days, and many more of you have applied to become one of our 12 disciples. So we're excited. So as we do this, I want to point out something happened for me. I was looking. John runs my Facebook, does a wonderful job, and so comments, and so you probably get messages back from me all the time and assume they're me. At least if he's doing a good job, you do. And so something happens. I go on Facebook every once in a while. I go looking through my stuff, and I go on Facebook and I make my own posts, but he handles a lot of the follow up. And I'm looking through the comments of one of the posts that was inviting people to this Zoom. It said 60 days free. And the comment said, that is absolutely too good to be true. It cannot be free. Tell me what's the catch. And I was reading that and I thought, what an interesting perspective, because literally there's this thing sitting right in front of this gentleman. I have no clue who he is. This gentleman who is obviously online. He obviously seen it. It piqued his interest enough to type on his little keyboard and respond to the thing, but he didn't take the time to hit the I'm in button and join us. And maybe he's on here today. So if so, I commend him for hopping in. But it made me think, if he's in, then he made that shift. And if he's not in, that little question mark in his mind, maybe it was somebody else burned him at some other time. Maybe it was some other challenge he went through, but immediately there was a block there. And I want you to think in your own life, because there is, for those of you who are parents, you're going to relate to this. You know how you have some family members and they're just really easy to love, and there's other ones that they constantly block you being able to help them. Be like the first kind, not the second. And I share that because too many times something happens and we begin to block opportunities. But because of our ego, and I want you to write this down, drop negative ego. And I'll say this, especially to us men, a lot of times our ego pops up and it's easy for us to be like, no. I'm not blocking it. I just need your help to go get this. And immediately we need to take a step back and say, wait a second, why did this person get this? One person shows up and says, oh my gosh, this is the best free thing I've ever been a part of. Somebody else applies and gets accepted into the Bobslow Accelerator and says, holy crap, I've never experienced a mentorship like this. Our Freedom Life family, you've been hearing from them. They go, I've never been a part of something like this. And yet on the other side, somebody else shows up and goes, I showed up, I was there for 30 minutes, I didn't even get a contract. And so you get to choose what side of the fence you're on, because the value is the same and the information is the same. And so I want to challenge each of us. We've been together long enough that I know I have the permission to say this for you. And I challenge you to look in the mirror and ask yourself, what am I getting? And if you are receiving great information and you're happy with it, then that's because of you. You've been receiving great information and you take things that are good and you make them even better. You're like, I'm going to implement this. And then if you've not been getting information, ask yourself, maybe, does these guys my vibe? If I like these guys, but I'm not getting the right information, but somebody next to me is, then how can I change and become a better steward of that information? Because to hear it is useless if we don't do it. So that's a very important thing. Become the best stewards we can be. And this comes down to my life. And there's a reason I'm really passionate about this, because I thought I just needed to learn to make money. And I realized that I needed to learn how to best steward, multiply the little bit I did have, because then I could step into abundance. If I can't turn $10 into a house contract, if I can't turn a $10,000 program investment into a $100,000 profitables of deals, then how do I become a better steward of those things? So I share that because, again, when we make a mistake, when we're broke, it's buying the wrong sandwich at McDonald's and it's $7. When we make a mistake and we're broke and we bump our car, it's $1,200 scratch on the side of the car. But then when the same level of mistake happens, when you have $10 million of assets, that same level of mistake is not a scratch on the car. It's a $2 million situation. So getting in the reps at every level is such a shift that I wish I would have learned sooner. It would have saved me millions and millions of losses and lessons. So it's very important that we get that as we step into this deal structuring second half, day 34 of 60 together. So write this down, multiple exit strategies. Now, I'm going to be talking a lot more in coming days about a lot of strategies, but below that, write down least amount of work for biggest check. Least amount of work for biggest check. So something's going to happen. And the reason I spent so much time on that is because the same attitude that will repel someone. You ever walked into Walmart and seen a cashier that was having a really bad day? And so the customer was also having a really bad day. And as that's happening, we got a whiteboard up here. How can we get rid of this whiteboard? There we go. As that's happening, you begin to see the whole energy in that area shift, right? Customers now angry. Yeah, cashier overcharged me. The cashier was having a bad day. They just found out something negative, and this whole cycle begins. And you show up, you can exacerbate that. You can be angry, be like, bunch of idiots. Or you can show up and you can be the difference maker. So, hey, how are you doing? My day sucks. Man, I'm sorry to hear that. Hope it gets better for you. I don't have much, but here's a smile. Yeah, I say something that makes them smile. And before long, you notice everything changing. The same type of strategy that will make that happen in that moment is the same type of strategy that will make it happen when someone goes to give you a big non-refundable option deposit, like Ahmed just got, is the same thing that will happen whenever you step into whatever it is. And so I really want you to think about this, because just like you hear me on the seller side say, get the freaking contract, talk to the seller. What's our whole objective? Get to the conclusion. As I'm going over these multiple exit strategies, you're going to hear me talk about being flexible. Because if we think, oh, we're going to lease option this, we need at least $20,000 down, and we need at least $1,500 a month. And somebody shows up with $15,000 down, but they could pay $2,000 a month. Well, we need to have a conversation. But if we're being pigeonholed with this one idea, we may block the opportunity. Somebody may come along and qualify for a mortgage and want to buy the house outright. Well, darn it. You just got to take the payday and move on. You don't have to. You can keep it, but I would recommend you do. And that happens, by the way, quite often. And so as you step into this, I really want you to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. And rather than growing frustrated in the moments of confusion, learn to ask great questions. Be the person that is fun to work with. Be the person who attracts success and wealth. And so that's where your creativity is going to come in, because somebody's going to show up. They're going to have a little less down than you hoped. And you're going to ask a series of questions. One of the questions we're going to ask is, do you have a 401k or an IRA? Do you have retirement money you could put toward a new home? Do you have a trade? We sometimes work with trades. I've got the coolest crap on trades. I've got houses on trades and cars and boats and RVs. And gosh, I've got a whole plethora of crap I don't need on trades. And so we begin to ask a series of questions to figure out how we can make a win-win scenario. Is this making sense? Give me a yes in the chat if this is making sense. So, all right, we got the yeses coming. Good. Y'all are a fun crowd. Keep the energy up. I actually got where I so look forward to these calls. It's so fun to come hang out with you all. I think you can tell Leo and I have fun every day when we show up. So, something that I want to ensure for each of you is that I'm sharing with you the ability to be charming. The ability to be charming. Elizabeth is amazing at this. I see her. She's on the front of my screen right next to Leo right now. And I'm telling you, you see those people with those smiles that are contagious. And I will share with you an example. And I want to give you this example because it's a very important example of what I'm about to teach you over these next 10 days together. I have a call. Sometimes, as men, we have to prove we're right. And if it's in a good way, I do it. If it's in a negative way, I let ego go. So in this time, it was a good way. It was a $40,000 profit way. So my team told me a few years ago we had to renovate a house for $40,000. I knew the house 2 years prior. It did not need 40K in renovation. And I was certain, Mike, that I was right. So I said, this thing does not need a 40K rehab. Y'all are nuts. They go, well, the person had dogs and they left it in a mess. And I'm like, dogs in a mess. I just put 50K in rehab. By the way, I don't do rehabs. I retired from that. I just put 50K in rehab in this thing 2 years ago. Like, it can't be 40K in work. It has new roof. It has new windows. It has new HVAC. It has new, like, where could 40K go? Like, y'all are nuts. So I strongly disagree. And I said, you know what? I am going to prove I'm right. We're not going to touch this house and I'm going to sell it on a lease option. So I get on the phone and I call 3 tenant buyers who had called off of one of our ads. The third one I called said they had $20,000 down. And I said to them, got it. Actually, the guy's name was Mike in that case. Mike, you'll like this one. And I said, Mike, I said, you called about the house over on X Street. Unfortunately, that one is pending. By the way, this is good to remember. It's easier to sell 12 houses than it is to sell one. I said, but I do. Write this down, frame everything. The challenge was the house he had called about had a big, beautiful pool in the backyard. The house I was needing to shift him to, if it fit for him, did not have a pool in the yard, but it had a way bigger yard. I said, well, tell me what you're looking for. And he told me, he's like, I got 3 dogs. I've got this, I've got that. I said, okay, Mike. I said, we have a home actually less than a mile from the home you called about. While it doesn't have a pool, it does have a much bigger yard. I said, now it's not on the market yet. Notice the magic framing that I'm using here. I said, it's not on the market yet. I said, while we do intend to clean it up and get it on the market the next 2 or 3 weeks, if you would like a private showing prior to us getting it ready, if you'll promise me you won't judge it, because I haven't seen it yet either, and my team told me it's rough, then I will absolutely get you in for a private showing. How does that sound for you? He said, I would love that. I said, cool. And so I said, I'll tell you what, I'm actually happening to be meeting my team tomorrow in Evansville. And I said, I'll tell you what, I'm going to drive over and I'm going to show you this house. I got real excited because people can hear you smiling on the phone. So everybody practice with me. Everybody smile real big. All right. They can hear you smile. You got to smile. All right. So I said, but you have to promise me, Mike, it's rough. I said, you're not going to judge it, are you? He said, no, man, you're good. So I pull up. I meet him the following morning out there and I get to the house and I said, oh, crap. There's a pile of clothes in the driveway. So before I can even get inside, he walks up. I shake his hand. I said, my name's Andrew. Mike, it's good to meet you. I said, I guess let's go experience this surprise together. So I walk up to the front door. I get the key and I open it. The folks who had moved out had not done a great job of leaving it in tidy condition for sure. But that's not for me to judge. That's for the buyer to judge. Notice this gentleman lived in a mobile home community. He was looking at getting out of the mobile home community where his dogs didn't have a place and where he was in practically prison into what he knew he could turn into a beautiful home with some cleaning and a little bit of work. It has to be a win-win. Never take advantage of someone and make sure you frame things right. So the fact was, if we went in and we cleaned this thing up and we made it in tippy top shape, we'd probably put it up for $259.9. And I told him that. I said, but if you're willing to take it as is, then perhaps we could work out something a little bit less than that. He says, oh, I would love to take it as is. I could fix this. I said, awesome. I said, so normally we work closer to 20% down. I said, how much could you come up with? So we went back and forth a little bit. For the sake of time, I'll tell you the remaining details that you're going to love when we spend 3 days together next month. And I'll skip on to the most exciting part. So we went back and forth a little bit, and we finally come to $40,000 down and a $238,000 purchase price. I said, okay. So I said, well, you're telling me, this is very important, and write this down. Repeat it back. Very important. I said, so you're telling me if I can get my partner to agree to 38,000 down, to 40,000 down and $238,000 purchase price, that you would be ready to move forward today. Get to the conclusion. He says, yes. So I went out and made a phone call, come back in, and I let Mike know that we were going to be able to work with him. And write this down. Be clear about the next steps. Whether you're buying a house or selling a house, you're going to see this. For those of you who have applied and get accepted into our Boss Flow Accelerator or into our Freedom Life communities, you're going to experience right after getting approved, getting funded, you're going to be hearing from Paul, and you're going to be getting onboarded and set up in the entire community and get onboarded with all of the calls that the whole Freedom Life family and the whole Boss Flow Accelerator family get every single week. Be very specific. So make sure that you leave nothing up for imagination. I said, the next steps are you go to the bank and you'll get a cashier's check. Do you have a pen and paper handy? He said, yes. I said, awesome. You're going to make the check to XXX. That ain't the name of our company, by the way. I said, you're going to make the check to the name of our company. I love those of you who are laughing. Thank you. I thought it was funny, but so as he says, okay, he said, I can do that. I said, well, the office is about a mile away, so I'll just meet you at the office. I said, well, where do you bank at? He told me. I said, cool, they're practically on the way. So we go to the office, we lock it in, and then I want you to note down these last two very important lessons before we take questions and answers. And then in these coming days, get into the nitty gritty of the contracts and negotiate deals and the mini exit strategies. That evening, Mike calls me. And Mike says to me, I answered the phone and I thought, oh crap, he's having buyer's remorse. He says to me, Andrew, I said, Mike. He said, I'm drove back by the place. I just had to go by this place before I went back home. He says, I just want you to know you and your team are changing my family's life. He said, I've been in a trailer for X amount of years, and I didn't know I'd have the possibility to own a home. Thank you. I said, my pleasure, Mike. Now, here's the two more notes. Never compromise value. No risk, no goodies. You should write that down. No risk, no goodies. Mike calls me. He brought the cashier's check. The cashier's check was for 30,000. He was bringing the remaining 10,000 when he signed the final documents. Mike calls me a week later and he says, Andrew, would it be possible if we could go ahead and move in with a 30 down instead of the 40 we agreed to? And the phone went silent. And it was silent for a while. And I said, Mike, you're killing me. He said, it's okay if we can. I just had to ask. I said, I don't blame you for asking, but I think my partner would kill me if I went back and asked for that. He goes, no worries, no worries. I'll see you next week and we'll bring it in as planned. I said, cool. About a year and a half later, they had went through the process. I forgot about it. They got their loan, they bought the house, and Mike texted me one more time. And he sent me a big, long text. And he says, Andrew, I just want you to know my 3 dogs are in the biggest yard, bigger than I ever could have dreamed of. We love the home you got us in. He said, and the price was so fair. He said, I'd never dreamed of homeownership back when you put me in this. Thank you for changing the trajectory of my legacy. So I share this because it's very important for you to understand the psychology of what happens. It's very important for each of us as we're putting in these reps, as we're investing in ourselves. There's a reason that there's an investment associated with the communities. There's a reason for everything we do. There's a reason for you for everything you do. There's a reason that the car you buy isn't free because they quit making them before long. Everything is running on an economy of money. And when you start to understand that, instead of feeling like, oh crap, I wish I had more money, or oh crap, I wish this was free, or I wish that, we begin to figure out how to make the economy, the energy of money better serve us. All right, I have so much more to get to. I feel like I'm on a roll today. I have a bunch more strategies I want to share with you and put in your tool belt. And the clock tells me that I need to get the questions and resume this amazing conversation tomorrow, talking about exit strategies and how we get the most amount of profit per deal. So let's jump in. Paul, what questions do we have?
All right. So first question today is from Marina, and she says, "How do you analyze the deal? Is there a specific percentage of equity in that property that would make you decide it's a good deal or not? How do you fund closing costs or construction costs if necessary?"
Yes, that's a lot of questions in one. So first off, there's 3 paydays. I want one to be amazing or two to be good. All right. One, meaning front end. I want little to nothing down. I want big cash flow as big as possible. And I want some equity. So the less any of those 3 paydays have, the more the other two have to have. So there's not a percentage. It just, I need big equity if I'm writing big check and little equity if I'm writing little check that have good cash flow. As far as funding, the costs, many people use a low or no interest card because when you use the exit strategies I'm talking about, which is why we're giving all of you the opportunity to apply for business lines of credit. So that's going to be coming up here in the next few days as well, because a lot of times you can just fund them and then get your money back when you sell the house. A lot of people on here also do JV partnerships. And so somebody on here will write a check, fund the deal. We partner with our students for our Boss Flow Accelerator or Freedom Life students sometimes. And you can do basically get them, we fund them, and then we do deals where we do profit shares of some sort. So you can use private money. If there's a ton of equity, you can use partnerships, joint ventures. You can use zero or low. It really doesn't matter interest lines of credit, because if you're going to flip the deal in 30 days, what's it matter what the rate is? But sometimes they are 0%.
All right. Next question comes from Tim. He says, "Have you ever tried subliminal audios or videos? If so, what is your opinion of them?"
I need a little more clarity on what you mean by that, brother.
It might be the binaural beats. I know that's a technique a lot of people use, but I am not fully clear on what he means by, maybe Leo might have a little more
If,
insight on subliminal audios and videos.
if you're
Um,
asking if we hypnotize you every day on here, the answer is absolutely not. I'm shaking my head yes for those of you who are not watching that.
all
Leo, did you
right.
have anything to add that before we get to the next question?
Yeah, I think the importance of self-talk is it's like an 80-20, right? 80% of the benefits is going to be your own self-talk. And then, subliminal audios, like listening to affirmations, listening to hypnosis, those things, it's almost like a piece of the workout, but it's like working out versus a piece of the workout. So I recommend it for sure. Biggest thing I recommend though is just to have full awareness of your thoughts. Like right now, what are you thinking about? Probably lunch, probably four different things, probably that house on Fourth Street, probably these different things. Pay attention to those thoughts and make sure that the majority of those thoughts are positive. And the
I
majority
was
of those,
actually just thinking about how sad they are this is ending today.
exactly.
All right. The next question we have is a little similar. If your brain is wired to be a thinker brain that overanalyzes everything, how can you reprogram your brain to become an action brain that shoots first and asks questions later?
That's, you want to take that one, Leo, or you want me to?
You go ahead. I'll go after you.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting question. First off, I want to answer. I don't know who asked this, and I love when I don't know who asked because then I can just be transparent, not feel like I'm saying anything too harshly. The fact is that's actually probably becoming a limiting belief or a limiting frame because I think the fact you wired to quote be a thinker brain is actually pretty darn cool. In fact, when I lost over 3 million bucks on a stupid deal, I was kind of wishing I was a thinker brain in that moment. And so I wouldn't have let some crap slip past me. I would have got my attorney a little heavier involved. I would have. And so looking at that as your superpower and then saying, how can I use my thinker brainness to step into my power and go be smart and buy, maybe instead of buying at 24 deals this year, like an action brain might, I might only buy 12, but they're going to be 12 killer deals. So ask yourself, how can I lean into the superpower and actually use it for my advantage rather than think this is a limiting thing I have going on?
All right. Next question comes from Carrie. Sorry, were you going to go ahead?
No, I
Forgive
said
me,
he crushed
Leo.
it. That was good.
All right. We do have a question from Carrie, and she says, the deal you just described, Andrew, I'm assuming you bought the house well below 238,000 because the buyer is only going to bring 198K to closing. Is that correct?
I did. I bought it for $43,000.
All right. Next question comes from Howie. He says, I found some houses that are going into foreclosure because the owner passed away and the lender has called the entire loan. What can be done to help with what can be done to help the children who inherited the property?
I would call the lender and see how far behind it is and see if they would be willing to take payments. Actually, I would have my probably closing attorney too. I would personally get involved, but there's a possibility you could get it screwed up too. They're already foreclosing. There's nothing to lose. Find out if they'll accept payments. I've bought countless houses that way.
All right. That's all we got today, folks.
Awesome. Guys, we have a jam-packed day tomorrow. We're going to be talking about more exit strategies and more ways to get you money and more ways to find money in your deals. I'm telling you, if you do not have these tools in your tool belt, it's going to cost you a heck of a lot of money. So make sure that you're here. Make sure you drag along everybody else that should be with you here. Leo, any parting words as we wrap up today?
Absolutely. Those of you who have been here since day one, awesome. If you're new, awesome. Just understand that repetition is going to be key. What we're doing here is skill development. You guys are developing your skills of charisma, developing your skills of deal structuring, all of these things. The more that you're on here, the more that you're getting and understanding, and the more that you're implementing, the better you're going to get. So keep showing up. Be here tomorrow. We got some really good stuff going on, and keep smiling.
And if you're not in the circle already, make sure you hop in the circle and get signed up today.
Peace.
Bye for now, guys.